G'day and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Warrior Check-In. So today here with Geoff Wilson. So Geoff, firstly thank you for giving us your time.
Good to be with you, Andrew.
So for those of you who may not know Geoff, Geoff has many strings to his bow. One is that you're a vet and owns Vet Love, which has, I think, 9, is it?
11 hospitals
11.
now, yeah, amazing. It's been stressful.
Well, and if that wasn't enough, Geoff also has an adventure business called Fifth Element Expeditions, and just this summer completed his latest adventure, which was a, how many kilometre?
5,306 kilometre crossing. So the longest solo unsupported journey in human history to date.
Wow.
Amazing.
And in the coldest place on earth, Antarctica. So feel really honoured to be able to catch up and spend a bit of time with Geoff. So just to remind you guys, the weekly check-in is really just checking in with someone from the community, going a little bit deeper than, you know, are you okay? So we'll start with the question I ask everyone, Geoff, how are you feeling? And just as a reminder to everyone, it can't be good or fine because that's the weather.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's been a really tough few months since sort of middle of March, as we carry more mortgage and more staff than I ever have in my whole life. So with all of the corona stuff coming through, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, having to, you know, stay strong, not lose your, lose your crap, really. Yeah. There was a lot of weight there, I felt, during that whole time. And then we're very fortunate in the veterinary profession in that people turn to their animals for support, or people who had thought for years about getting an animal for their kids suddenly had the time. So we went from deathly quiet to crazy busy, and then the businesses started to improve, and so that was a great thing. On the adventure side, we had a whole bunch of public speaking down in Sydney and all over the country, motivating people, which is, you know, really why I speak, is to try and motivate people to move and get off the couch and dream bigger. All of that dried up in a heartbeat. So thankfully I do have 2 strings. If I was just relying on the speaking income, we'd be starving at the moment. So thank God for all the animals. But yeah, I mean, I think I would say that I am good now, but it's been a process. You know, I'd be lying to you if I tried to pretend the last 3 months have been fun. You know, I've envied a lot of my mates who have been able to put everything in hibernation, and it's kind of like the rat on the treadmill suddenly stopped, and whilst things were tough for them, they were able to park it and just breathe. And I've watched them with some envy. But then the other side of that is we do have a business now that's functioning, and we're ready to go through, which I think will be a tough quarter for anyone in business over the next 3 months. So that's a long answer to, listen, good now, but it certainly wasn't good middle of March. I mentally felt like my head was going to explode, and I did have days where I just had to pull myself off the front line and try and cool the engine a little bit.
Totally.
And I think that's a skill I've learnt in an expedition environment. There's no point pushing yourself to breaking point, because then the expedition's over. And I felt middle of March, early April, that I was pretty close to breaking point, but managed to, like I say, come back and resolve that.
Awesome. And you know, thank you for that, because I think one of the most important things, and one of the things I'm trying to encourage everyone, is that, you know, in our life, things are up and down, and often, you know, within a couple of hours, we can be feeling really good, and then something happens. So I think that's just life, and I think if we're able to share that, then people will get the sense that that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we're not always going to be good all the time.
No, I don't think that's something I share a lot of. You don't get mountains without valleys, and you know, living on a desert plain is a very boring place to be. So, you know, getting through to men particularly, that tough times create character, and it's that character that allows you to have the greatest time. You know, I think somebody has quoted me saying somewhere, I don't know where, that the toughest time of your life may just be creating the character you need for the best time in your life.
Yeah.
So, you know, whilst it has been a tough time, I think it's been good for us in many respects. It's certainly built character and getting us back to simple family values, and
Absolutely.
you know, it's an exciting time.
Yeah. So next thing I normally ask is, you know, what's something that's going well for you now that you're excited about and gives you energy?
Well, amazingly, you know, we stretched to 11 hospitals, 85 staff, and they're all really, really good Aussie people. They're all animal lovers. It's been a really difficult 4 years, but we've just had our single busiest month in May, and we've managed to retain all our staff. In fact, we're now hiring again.
Wow.
So that's been phenomenal on the vet side. On the adventure side, it's been a complete grind to a halt because David is adventuring, but we're making the film, the final stages of getting the film Iceman, which is a 200-year polar history, including my last 2 journeys down there. So that's exciting as well, because I'm communicating with some of the greats, Berger, Iceman, and out of Norway, and Eric Phillips in Australia. Speaking to Henry Worsley's widow, who's a British explorer who died down there a couple of years ago. So that side's been really rich. And then in the background, starting to dream and build the next journey.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So, and then on the, I guess always, you know, there's the flip side. What's something that, you know, you're finding a challenge at the moment, right now?
Well, I think coming out of Antarctica, I really felt that I was never going to let family get out of whack, you know, make sure that I prioritise family this year. And I made some New Year's resolutions, which were pretty funny in hindsight, was to slow down, listen more, talk less,
Right.
To hug more,
Right.
and to take Sarah on more dates, you know, to thank her for everything she puts up with.
Yeah.
And I've had to speed up and talk more. I'm not allowed to hug because we're going to give someone corona, and every place we could go on a date has been shut. So it's almost as if the firmaments have just conspired to make them impossible. But you know, along with that, there's been a significant amount of stress just making sure that we survive this period. And from an adventure point of view, just mentally adjusting from the incredible purity of an Antarctic environment, a solo experience, and then coming back into a global pandemic that felt like another Antarctic storm. And you could feel it rising in late Feb, early January, early March.
Yeah.
That, you know, that storm noise, and then suddenly the storm was upon us, and the world as we knew it fell apart so quickly, and you realise how paper thin civilization is. And then you look at America at the moment, and you know, finally I feel like some of the minorities are getting their voices heard, so that's been good, but also feeling their pain. And from First Nation friends of mine, talking to them, you know, saying, hey, this is nothing new, it's just you white fellas are finally listening to us.
Yeah.
That's pretty tragic as well as an Aussie, to feel that. So I've probably found my low point has been watching all of that happening, watching America fall apart, basically, you know, as an ally of Australia, but then also appreciating Australian culture and how amazing Australian people, it's kind of a counter to that. But then, you know, I'd be lying if I said to you it's been a fun 3 months. It's been pretty brutal.
Yeah, and I think you share, you know, what's true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of introspection and wondering. And lastly, what is it that you do, either on a daily, weekly basis, that, you know, when you find yourself in those challenging moments, do you have a practice or something that you do that brings you back to that centre, grounded, connected space?
Yeah, we're very fortunate, you know, and some days I feel almost guilty for being fortunate enough to live in the Currumbin Valley and to have a forest that I can escape into, because I find my surfing has always been important, but it's more and more shit fight out there. So it's not the peaceful pursuit that you imagine as you're pulling your board out of the car in the car park this beautiful morning, and then pretty soon someone's F-bombing and paddling over your back to get to a wave, and it's not that meditation kind of prayer space that you need. And whether you pray individually or you meditate or whatever it is, you do need to quieten your mind. And you know, I have even staff of mine that I would call Maseratis. Their engine runs at really high revs, and they regularly have to pull themselves off the racetrack and calm down, cool down. I'm more of a diesel chug, like you're not
sure
going to
and
get
steady.
Yeah, sure and steady. You're not going to get genius from me, but I'll still be going at 1,000, 10,000, a million kilometres. But I still find I need to pull myself out of the humdrum, and my favourite spot to do that is probably on my quarter horse Maggie May, and she's just got a nice big slow heartbeat. She's quite ADD like me, but getting on her in the forest and then getting into a prayerful mindset, so you're just slowing everything down, super grateful for everything, and just feeling the heat of your mind come down. I think that's probably my reset point.
Nice. Yeah. So thanks, Geoff, for sharing that. And thank you guys for tuning in again. And you know, we'll see you again next week with the next Weekly Warrior. Thanks, guys.